Hello artists. For our watercolor fall wreath, we'll need a pencil, a compass or something to trace to make a circle, a thin detail paintbrush, some watercolor paints, and some watercolor paper. So let's get started. First, I will write my name neatly on the back of my watercolor paper and flip it over to the clean side. Notice that my paper is vertical. This is a safety compass. It helps us make perfect circles. There's a gold ring in the center and lots of these little dots that run down the length of the orange compass. Now, to get started, I will make a small dot where I want the center of my circle to be. And I'm going to line that small little dot inside of the gold ring. And once I've done that, I'm going to use 2 fingers to hold the circle down so that the orange part spins. And I want a circle drawn, not too big, not too little. It needs to be able to fit inside of that paper with a little bit of space on either side to have room for my leaves and other things. And once I have that drawn, I'm using an eraser to erase the circle that I've just drawn. Well, why am I doing this? Well, I need this little guide, a hint of this circle, but I don't want this circle to be really seen. I just need it to know where to paint my fall leaves. I'm going to start with the brown liquid watercolor paints, and I just need to dip my brush in there. And because it's already liquid watercolor, it doesn't take a lot. I'm going to first start with a slightly curved line. This is the stem that runs the length of my oak leaf. And you can see that I've added sort of an oval shape near the top. Now, on the sides, I'm going to paint sort of a large oval, a medium oval on either side, and then finally, a small oval. Now, it does take some practice, but they're actually quite easy to create an oak leaf in this way. Work your way around that lightly drawn circle that we have, that's a guide, to make sure that our leaves are going to be formed in the shape of a wreath. And you're going to paint several oak leaves. Remember, an ovally blob at the top, and then under that, large, then medium, and then finally small. And you'll get this oak leaf. You can see that I'm going to be painting several of them, and it's a lot easier to rotate my paper so that I have more control over my brush. I will end up painting about 8 oak leaves that work their way around the circle that I've drawn. You might have more and you might have less. You are the artist of this creation, so listen to your art brain and make that decision for yourself of what looks right to you. After I have all the oak leaves that I feel that my wreath needs, I'm going to continue using the brown watercolors. And this time I'm going to add some acorns. To do this, I'm going to first paint the letter U with a line on top. It sort of looks like a pocket on the back of your pants. I'm going to add a small little point near the bottom. And then I'm going to paint the acorn cap. And that's sort of like just a long oval with a little stem on top. We're not going for realism, we're going with the idea of leaves and acorns. Again, I paint a letter U with a line going across, fill it in, add a little point to the bottom, and then the acorn cap, which is sort of a long, thin oval with a stem on top. Add as many as you think you need. This is an easy way to show variety in our work. Once I'm finished with my acorns, I'm going to clean my brush in my water pot, and I'm going to switch to a bright orange or yellow-orange liquid watercolor paint. I don't need a whole lot on this very thin brush, and now I'm going to add a variety of leaves. I always start with a long stem that runs the length of my leaf, and I'm going to paint sort of like a teardrop or raindrop shape on top of that stem. To break this step down even further, think of it this way. First, paint a long stem for your leaf. Near the bottom of that stem, but not touching the bottom, paint a curved line like the letter U, and then from the top, connect and fill in. Now have fun filling in all those empty places around the circle with leaves. You should use orange, yellow, red, and just fill your wreath with all of these really bright fall colors. Make sure that your leaves point in different direction to add variety. And to save ourselves from frustration, try not to let your leaves touch another leaf at this time. Try to leave at least a little bit of white paper space between every shape that you paint. This will keep one shape from bleeding into another shape. However, one awesome trick that we can do with watercolor paints is as you paint a leaf, go ahead and dip into a different color and touch the center of that leaf, and those colors will sort of blend and mix to create a really amazing look, and it will stay within the shape of that leaf that you painted. Try it out. Notice that I am not cleaning my brush between switching colors. They are so similar, and I'm using such a small amount that it's really creating a sense of unity in my wreath, because the red is connected with the orange and the yellow-orange and the yellow. See what you can create in your fall wreath. Once my wreath is packed full of these bright, vibrant fall leaves, I'm going to clean my brush in the water pot, and I'm going to use green. And very lightly, I'm going to brush these thin green lines that sort of just add a touch of greenery, a little bit of contrast. I'm not touching the leaves. I'm adding 2 or 3 strokes of green in the empty spaces around the leaf. Now, as I do this, I might touch the yellow paint just lightly, and that's going to turn my green into yellow green, and that's just an extra detail that will add just another level of variety to this painting. Once I'm happy with the amount of greenery that I've added, I'm going to dip my thin brush in the red paint, and I'm going to add small dots in clusters of 3 to look like berries that are added to the wreath. This is just one more detail that makes your work look special and adds a small amount of pattern throughout your work to unify the wreath. Now, this last part of the painting section of this project is optional, but using the idea guide that I've provided in class, you can follow the directions and paint the word thankful at the bottom of your paper. I chose to use the red watercolor paint to do this, but you could use any color you wish. In the next video, I'll show you how to add details with fine-tipped permanent markers once the paint has dried.